Hello Stampers! Today I want to show you a very quick and easy paper flower that you can make with some very simple supplies, so let's get started. We're going to start with a piece of Designer Series paper. This is the pattern Brights in Tangerine Tango, and the piece is 6 inches by 3/4, so just a really small piece. And I'm going to use the paper crimper. What we want to do is break the fibers down to make this paper softer. You could also do this if you wanted. You could just take your bone folder and kind of keep curling it a number of different ways to break the fibers down. I find it's really quick and easy to just use the crimper and do a number of passes. So passing it through that way and then doing it horizontally and just a number of times so that that paper fiber gets broken down a bit. Then all we're going to do is straighten that piece out, and we're just going to take our Tombow Mono multi-glue, and what we're going to do is run a very thin bead of glue along this 6-inch side, just like so. The next thing we're going to need is just a wooden skewer. You can get these at the grocery store, and what we're going to do is curl this end right around that skewer, and then we're going to roll and try to stay away from the end that has the glue on it, since you don't want to get your fingers all gluey. But I'm just going ahead and rolling pretty tightly, and at some point if you want to remove the skewer and then just hold this in between your fingers and continue to roll, that way you keep the little cylinder straight, that works as well. And again, you can keep your fingers away from the gluey end of that paper. So we're just going to keep rolling until we get to the end. And when we get to the end, if you want, you can use your finger to remove some of the glue and put it right here on the end, and then just seal that right up. And then if you want, you can wipe your fingers off somewhere on your pants. No, you can wipe them off on a towel or a wet wipe, or go and rinse your hands while this dries. And actually, I don't really wait very long for it to dry. I kind of spin it just a little bit. But you want to remember which end is the glued end, because that's going to be the bottom of your flower. The next thing we're going to do is going to take our craft and rubber scissors. I find that these work really well for this technique. And we're just going to stick the craft and rubber scissors right down in there and start to snip. And you may have to, on the first cut, kind of snip a couple times to get down. And you're leaving about 1/4 inch at the bottom. You don't want to cut, obviously, all the way down to the bottom, or your cylinder will open up. And then we're just going to move a little bit over and do the exact same thing. So cut down and move a little bit over and cut down. If you end up cutting off some of the pieces, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Just keep going until you go all the way around this cylinder. Hopefully you can see what's happening here. All the way around the cylinder until you get back to the place where you originally cut. And here things are getting a little thin, and that's okay. I may end up cutting some of the little pieces off by mistake, but it actually doesn't really affect the flower. So now I'm going to kind of smush, and you can see the ones that I cut are falling off, and that's fine. I'm just going to kind of bang on this flower a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is take this flower and I'm going to put it in my palm, and I'm going to roll it first in one direction and then in the other direction, and then I'm going to kind of come back in here and try to figure out where the bottom is and start to pull things away and spread them out. And you can probably keep prettying your flower for a long time, but I find that if I scrunch it up a little bit and then kind of just pull out some of the petals a little bit, that seems to work really well. And again, if you want to roll it again and then roll it again the other way, just trying to give your flower some texture with all of these bends. Then what I like to do is, once I feel pretty comfortable with how it's looking, and I'm feeling pretty comfortable with that one, it's looking pretty raggedy, what I like to do is spray it a little bit to give it some shimmer. And in this jar I just have a combination of alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and some champagne shimmer mist paint. So I'm just going to shake that up, and I'm going to give this about, I don't know, 4 or 5 spritzes on the top. And then all you're going to do is take your flower and add it to a paper project. And it's that simple. You may want to play around with this a bit. You can spray it with different colors of ink to give your flowers different colors. You can use old book pages instead of designer series paper. So here's a card where I actually used just a piece of an old book, and the paper was really soft to make that flower, and then sprayed it with some of the shimmer mist. But you can have a ton of fun just playing around with these flowers. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Card Play, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon here in the craft room.